My sister thinks she has the perfect marriage. Well, there's something she doesn't know that I know. I'm going to ruin her marriage because I'm in on it with her fiancé. That's right, and you know what? I'm going to stop at nothing because this golden child is going to learn a lesson.
Hey guys, I'm Noah. I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. Throughout my life, I've been compared to my perfect big sister, Amara, who can do no wrong in my family's opinion, and every comparison made me furious. Even in my early years, Mara overshadowed me in every conceivable way. I might have won a race, but she excelled in a spelling bee, which was considered far superior, of course. Every time I would make a mistake, I would be yelled at because the perfect Mara would have never made the mistake like I did. This constant comparison created a sense of alienation, making me feel distant from the family that showered attention on their perfect little child. I didn't feel very close to my sister either. She was very cold towards me, treated me as an annoying fly instead of a brother. Despite my hopes for a stronger connection, she was always embarrassed to be associated with me, even at school. Recognizing her disapproval, I kept my distance and resigned to the fact that she did not like me very much. Even during my teenage years, I found myself constantly being compared to my sister for not being as smart as her or as sporty as her. The pressure became challenging, pushing me further away from my family, and I started to spend more time with this particular friend of mine who owned this video game that I absolutely fell in love with. I would spend hours in the evening at his house, my family none the wiser. Summoning my courage, I asked my mom for a video game for my birthday. To my surprise, I received a set of books instead of a video game I requested. I was around 15 at the time, determined to have my own escape. I decided to get a job to buy the video game I longed for. I served the dual purpose of keeping me away from the family, a desire that's been growing inside of me. After some time, I managed to save enough money to indulge in weekend gaming sessions right there at my home. I became a recluse. Spending absolute hours immersed inside of that virtual world. Lost in gameplay, I often forgot to eat, but my parents did not even notice. While they praised my sister's activities, they would suggest I do something more productive, instead of wasting time on video games. I would nod at their suggestion and then bury myself in the video game world immediately afterward. I developed a deep love for video games, sparking a curiosity to learn how to create them. I started coding by the age of 16 and made a few small games. I knew what I wanted to do in college. I had decent grades and I got into a decent college for a degree I wanted to pursue, unlike my sister who was at Yale. Despite the pressure and comparison to my sister, I maintained my focus, reminding myself that I was in charge of my own course. Heading off to college was such a relief. Although it wasn't too far from home, I moved out and only had to face family gatherings during the holidays. Sometimes I even skipped those without repercussion, and during the holiday dinner, the spotlight was always on Mara. And I think she liked being the center of attention for everyone. She would bask in the attention while I would just stay quiet unless spoken to in the fear of being compared to her if I brought their attention to my existence. I recently graduated, and a gamer friend of mine, we rented an apartment closer to our game development studio where we both work. The location brought my house closer to my parents and Mara's residence due to the proximity of our office. Consequently, I found myself frequently invited to dinner, but I often declined because of my family's behavior towards me and also my workload. This has alienated me from them even further, and unfortunately my family doesn't take my career seriously. They believe I spend my days playing video games instead of recognizing coding, programming as a legitimate job. It's my dad, in particular, constantly urging me to find a quote real man's job. It's frustrating because what I do is a real job. Creating and programming video games requires skill, dedication. However, he never takes the time to understand my work. He simply likes to taunt me that I should find something else whenever I'm around, insisting that video games aren't a real job. To make matters worse, my sister actively encourages this behavior. Despite knowing that my job is legitimate, she brings up the topic in front of the family to provoke taunting. Her annoying, knowing smirk only adds insults to injury, fueling my frustration. Recently, my sister announced her engagement during Thanksgiving dinner, making an already unbearable situation worse for me. She even went so far as to question whether I could ever afford the expensive ring her fiancé gave her, insinuating that my lack of a real job would prevent such an accomplishment. My dad chimed in, stating that I would not be able to afford it, prompting laughter from everyone. Unable to sit idly by, I snapped, declaring that I earned enough and did not need her condescension. Perhaps she had gone too far, or maybe it was just the exhaustion from my workday, but I reached my breaking point. Mara, in turn, asked me if I had a partner in the first place, making everyone laugh at me again. Feeling humiliated, I told her it's none of her business. She said that looking at the fact that she would never have a sister-in-law or brother-in-law if I kept acting like a little nerd, it was definitely her business. In anger, I told her to stop acting like a condescending witch. Well, this outburst obviously grabbed our parents' attention, and they reprimanded me for speaking to my older sister that way, earning a smug smirk from Mara. Having reached my limit, I tossed a napkin over my half-eaten plate, and I stormed out, leaving my mother scolding me for disrespecting her and her cooking. Well, my dad, of course, criticized me for being overly sensitive, suggesting I learn from my sister's example. However, the more Mara had talked about this seemingly perfect dude at the dinner, the more I had started to wonder if she was overcompensating her fiancé William. I mean, come on, the dude sounded way too perfect. He was nice to her, always treated her well, got her these expensive gifts, and took her on expensive trips. Of course, I did not share my doubts with anybody at the table. If I had everyone, would have just thought I was jealous of Mara, or something. Anyways, Mara introduced us to William on Christmas. Our fights had not been forgotten, but everyone pretended to act like a loving family. William was a handsome man in his mid-20s. Like Mara, he wanted to bond with his fiancé's brother, so he came up to me to look for common ground. We did discover that, a common ground. He was a fellow gamer. Excitement and skepticism welled up inside of me, so I asked Mara, ever criticized him for playing games? Surprisingly, he said that she did not, which fueled my anger and frustration at my sister's hypocritical behavior. But guys, you won't believe is that I recognize him. William used certain words and phrases that matched an online friend of mine, and I could not resist asking for his gamer ID. At that point, he revealed it. He was the Dragon Slayer 485, which to my horror and pleasure was the same guy I've been talking to for months now because, well, Dragon Slayer 485 was a hilarious dude. I spent hours playing and trash-talking with him. We formed a real bond over our shared sense of humor. As it turns out, I've been unknowingly talking to my sister's fiancé. Okay, the catch? He had no idea who I was, and I vividly remembered him complaining about a nagging fiancé. And I think this is the time to teach my pretentious, condescending witch of a sister a lesson. She thinks that she's so much better than me, right? Okay, so much so that she can just insult me without any repercussions. Just because I have stayed quiet every single time she's insulted me doesn't mean I won't take an opportunity to ruin her life if I get the chance handed to me on a silver platter by Dragon Slayer 485. Well, she has me coming for her now, and she's going to regret every harsh thing that she said to me her whole life. I can absolutely ruin Mara's life through William, and you know what? That's what I'm going to do. Top comments from the original post. Comment number 1 comes from Tammy7. Your sister sounds horrible. Your entire family sounds horrible, to be honest, and how can they be so cold to their own family? And the constant comparison are even worse. I can't understand how they can enable your sister's condescending behavior towards you while they stick up for your sister when, I don't know, you for once stood up for yourself. I suggest you keep taking a stand, and you make enough money for yourself and don't need them, really. And now that you have an opportunity for a bit of revenge, I can't wait to learn what's on your mind. She deserves whatever you have planned, and I can't even imagine a sibling treating their brother with such coldness. I hope she realizes that she's a horrible human being and at least apologizes to you with the rest of your family who has given her the confidence to talk to you the way that she does. Comment number 2 by Yaros_01. It seems like you have a very toxic family. I think you should distance yourself from them instead of seeking revenge. Seeking revenge is likely to have worse effects on you and your mental health, I assume. Your family doesn't seem to care for you much. You should cut any contact with them until they come to you with an apology instead of going after your sister. Mara doesn't sound like a good sister at all. But hey, it's clear that your parents are the problem. Your parents have created such an environment where Mara can get away with her awfulness without any repercussion. Well, you're reprimanded for taking a stand for yourself. It's your parents' fault that your family dynamics is as such and not your sister's. Hence, I just recommend you take a step back from your family and talk about your feelings with maybe a therapist. Anyways, I hope you make the right decision. Best of luck to you, OP. Update number 1. Hey guys, it's me and I am back. So, I just want to say hello. It's Noah. Remember when I told you that I was going to ruin my sister's life after she's been so awful to me my whole life? It's been 2 weeks and I've been focusing my energy on William. I've strategically been online whenever he is, engaging in constant convos. I've made him feel comfortable enough to discuss his fiancé with me by talking about my own non-existent girlfriend. I began by telling him about my girlfriend persistently nagging to me to stop playing video games. I cleverly provided him a gateway to open up. He revealed that his fiancée has been really annoying to him as well. He comes from old money, and he throws her money at her just to keep her off his back. He sends her on these trips with her friends, so of course she would stop being so clingy. He would also give her expensive gifts, so she would be occupied with that instead of him. What made me laugh so hard, though, as I did, was when he confided in me that he only proposed to her because she's been nagging to him for months now. He finally gave in and proposed, and I asked him why he was even marrying her if she was so annoying. His response, well, he revealed that she was pretty and every rich man needs a pretty eye candy on their arm. He claimed that she was very superficial but wasn't half bad to talk to when she wasn't being so clingy. I asked him if she suffocated him with her love. He agreed that yeah, she did. He said that he liked to be alone most of the time. Unlike her, she would constantly drag him along herself to places he clearly didn't want to go to. She was bossy. She was pretentious. In our conversations, I could not help but internally chuckle. Mara believed William showered her with gifts out of deep love, unaware that he was simply using his old money to distract her and treat her as eye candy. She thought so highly of herself, but the truth was far from what she thought. And then came my ace move. I shared a tidbit that I'd read somewhere that people who were cheating on their partners often engage in excessive display of affection as a form of guilt-driven love bombing. It piqued his interest, of course, though he attempted to brush it off and pretend that he was not interested. Persistent prodding led to his admission, though. Mara had been disappearing every weekend for a few hours, and I knew exactly where she was going. Flaunting her knitting powers at her knitting class was her norm in front of the family. I also knew she was somewhat embarrassed about her knitting passion, so she had not told many people. This was my moment. I asked for more details, and I told him that it wouldn't be a huge commitment if he just made sure that she wasn't actually cheating on him. Well, you know what? He agreed. He'll now be following Mara to her knitting class, but he doesn't know that it's a knitting class. Yeah, I've got plans in motion to manipulate the situation, making him believe Mara is in fact a cheater. Yeah, Mara has no inkling of what's coming her way. Poor thing. Update number 2. Hello everyone, it's Noah once again with yet another update. I was going to frame Mara of cheating in front of her fiancé, and you know what? I've succeeded in my endeavor. Let me catch you up to speed. Remember when I told you about my gamer buddy? We rented an apartment together. His name's Jake. I asked Jake if he would help me out. See, he's met my family a few times in the passing, and my family has always treated me very lovingly in front of him. I've informed him that it's all an act, so he knows that my family isn't the best. When I asked him if he would like to help me take revenge on my sister and family, he immediately said yes, knowing how they actually treated me. Mara knew Jake and always treated him well when they ran into each other, which was more often than you think because of the proximity of our houses. I asked him if he would enlist in the knitting class with Mara, and he agreed and did so immediately. We waited for Saturday, and I stayed in my car as he went ahead and ran into Mara. He pretended to be so happy to see her. Well, William followed Mara and saw this exchange between them. Mara and William hugged, and Mara even gave him 2 pecks on the cheek, adding a bit of fuel to the unknowing fire. Well, when I saw William step out of the car trying to follow them in, I dialed his number, and he told me that he just saw Mara meet somebody and enter some sort of class. I told him just to wait and see when they come out and see what they do. I watched William simmer in anger for 2 hours as the class went on. Then I watched him see his fiancée coming out laughing with my friend, who to him was a mystery man. I had instructed Jake to take Mara to a cafe for coffee, and he did just that. Mara must have agreed without much insistence, as the coffee shop was just 2 shops over. This time William called me and asked me what he should do now that he knew that his fiancée was actually cheating. You know what I did? Kerosene to the fire. I said how horrible she must be if he cheated on him, even though he has always given her everything. He agreed with this sentiment, and that's when I led him to the direction of revenge. I told him that he should not reveal that he knew of her infidelity to Mara yet, and think about how to take revenge from her. He agreed that Mara deserved to learn a lesson. I told him to keep his cool, and that we could brainstorm ideas to ruin Mara, as she has clearly ruined his life. All I had to do was prod his little ego, and he was clay for me to mold, however I wanted to. Now I'm going to slowly manipulate him further against Mara into taking revenge. For me, update number 3. Hello everyone, it's Noah again with an update. It's the week before Mara and William's wedding, and William is having major cold feet, courtesy of my manipulation forcing him to believe that his nagging, superficial fiancé is a cheater. William's been angry for the past few days, keeping his distance from Mara by giving the excuse of being busy with his business. He's angry enough to start talking in terms of revenge by now. He's come up with many ways, and I had to steer him away from a very violent path. I hated my sister enough to cause her emotional harm. I wasn't unhinged enough to wish her physical harm, clearly. William was taken by his emotions and anger. Mara, on the other hand, has been flaunting how hard-working her man is. She's been telling everyone who would loan her an ear about William, thinking he must be planning their honeymoon behind her back or something. Otherwise, he would not have given him any attention for the past few days. The family and my sister's taunts have stopped feeling so sharp ever since I put my plan into motion. I know that I'll be humiliating them, and the secret has given me immense pleasure, honestly. It makes me feel very, very powerful, especially over people who always held on to power over me ever since I was young. I've been coming up with ideas of revenge with William as well. He let Mara send invitations to the wedding without himself inviting his family. He hasn't told anyone that the wedding is off, except for a few of his close friends. But he hasn't informed anyone else of the wedding date so he can humiliate Mara in front of her family. One day, we were playing video games while we brainstormed ideas just to humiliate Mara for her infidelity. He decided that he would announce that she was unfaithful to him in front of everyone. That would teach her a lesson. However, I could not have let him do that because that might end up revealing that I made all that up. So I told him that leaving her to wonder why he left him at the altar well, that's going to haunt her for far longer. And I even explained that not telling her and just leaving her hanging would be the best revenge ever. He slowly realized that I might be right. He'll meet Mara at the wedding venue and then never show up at the altar. It's a big wedding and my whole family's going to be there. It would absolutely humiliate Mara and my family if William did not show up. It gave me immense pleasure that I would have a hand in humiliating my family. The same way they humiliated me for my whole damn life, just for fun. After this, I'll also break most of my contact with them as I've been offered a better paying job elsewhere. Having been humiliated by William like this and seeing me living my best life unlike their favorite little golden child who, would be such a great revenge. Even thinking about it gives me pleasure. Update number 4. Hello everyone, it's Noah. Today was Mara's wedding with William and it went exactly how I planned it. William met up with Mara and pretended to be a doting fiancé like he always did in front of everyone. Then when he returned to his suite, he found me sitting on the chair there. He asked me what I was doing there, getting a bit nervous. I laughed and asked if he recognized me and he did not. I told him that I was the one he was communicating with online. He grew pale, remembering the vile things he said about my sister to me, and I laughed even further. I reassured him, it's all right, bro. I knew that my sister was that way. He didn't fully trust me in the moment, but I knew. And I also knew that it was my moment to absolutely shine. And shine is what I did. So, I told him that he should leave before someone finds him, and he asked me if I was all right with humiliating my sister this way. I told him that I hate my sister. She's always pretended that she was somehow better than me. That's when he smirked at me and asked if I wanted to rectify that. I was curious and he had my ear and he told me to call my parents to his room. I wasn't confident in him yet and I was suspicious. He reassured me that he had a plan to tarnish Mara's image in front of my parents too, and this way I would look better than Mara in front of my parents. I called my parents over in a hurry, not revealing the reason why I was rushing them towards the groom's room. There we found William packing up his stuff in his bag very angrily, and I floated back to the doorway to see the drama cook up. My mom asked him what the matter was, and William told her that he could not marry Mara. Shocked my dad and asked him why that was so. William explained that Mara was superficial, who had never deserved his love. William emphasized that he had treated her so well only to find something horrible about her. He didn't tell them what, wishing for them to form the worst conclusion themselves, and I was almost scared that he was going to reveal that she cheated. But he did not do that like we had discussed. He said that their daughter was an embarrassment, and he would not be able to live with his head held high if he married a superficial woman like Mara. He kept it all pretty vague, so as not to let Mara get any sort of closure for a long time after he left. My parents begged him to stop, talk to them and Mara, but William told them that he had already asked his family to not show up. He pushed my dad away, who tried to stop him. He went past the doorway, winking at me with a knowing smirk on his face, and I kept my face neutral all through it. My mother was left in tears as my dad screamed at her for raising a daughter like Mara, as they tried to understand what Mara could have possibly done exactly. So, I peeked into the venue to find my whole family had arrived as my parents made their way to the perfect little golden daughter of theirs. I soon heard screaming of anguish coming from her suite as I laughed to myself and made my way out of the place. Now that Mara and my parents have been humiliated in front of everyone, my revenge is done. Final update. Hey guys, it's Noah again. I believe this is my last update. It's been a month since William left Mara at the altar, and I thought I should tell you how my family has been doing since. Mara has not had the audacity to go out of her house. She's been hiding her face from everyone, and my parents have not been visiting her either, thinking the worst of her. I've only seen my sister once after what happened, and it was during the dinner when I revealed that I was leaving the state for a better job. When I revealed the package I've been offered, everybody was stunned. My mother doted on me for the first time in my life, saying that she knew I was hardworking and made her so proud. I almost rolled my eyes at her stupid behavior. However, for the first time, Mara stayed completely quiet during the dinner like I used to. She looked bad. Deep dark circles had taken home underneath her eyes. She even wore shabbier clothing than usual. She revealed that William had not contacted her, which I already knew because I've been in constant contact with William ever since. My parents have been humiliated in front of the family as well, and they announced that William had left Mara at the altar. Everyone had started talking behind their backs, wondering what Mara must have done to elicit such a harsh reaction from her fiancé. Most thought that she must have had an affair, leading William to leave her, and I think that's what my parents believe as well, even though they clearly haven't discussed it upright. William, on the other hand, has left the country for his mental health. He's taking long vacations in Amsterdam, managing his company from there for a few months. He's completely broken contact with Mara, changing his number to, quote, punish her. He's already found another arm candy for himself, and this was not as, pretty as my sister, so she would be less likely to cheat on him. I don't think that's how it works, but I did not contradict him as long as he stays away from my sister so as not to expose my secrets. And that's how I made my perfect older sister the black sheep of the family, as pure revenge.
Alright guys, this story was a hot topic. I'm gonna say the comments were neck and neck with each other. A lot of people were saying OP went way too far, exposing all this and just making the wedding an absolute disaster. And they were also saying what the sister was accused of doing to OP wasn't nearly as bad as what OP did to his sister. But there were other people saying, are you guys joking? The sister was making OP's life a living hell. And I would love to know what you guys think about this story. Do you think OP went too far? There's just a lot that goes into this one, and I would love to hear from you guys. So let's drop a comment downstairs in our comment section, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story. I hope you're having a great day. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate these sort of stories every day. We're talking family dramas, in-law disputes, inheritance dramas, mother-in-law problems. It just goes on and on and on. So, once again, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, but do remember, it's cool to be kind.